The Southern Light anchored in a clearing littered with aberrant ruins that seemed prepared to collapse at a touch. The wilds had grown through the clustered spires that surrounded the crew, coating everything that touched the ground in vegetation. One curious structure stood relatively untouched. It looked like a hearth, a hollow of some sort, covered in ruins and flanked by ornate walls from which the beacon rose. Lady Wilclark was the first of the party to approach the structure. Captain Jirax, not one to be bested in bravery, quickly followed suit. As for the crew, they ended up in various positions between the ship and the captain. Rog preferred the ship. The mood was hesitant, and all tongues were frozen by ambient mysticality. As the lady knelt to feel the carvings in the stone, they shone white like the heart of a smithy's fire in the cerulean eddy of an open sky. Her whole body began to glow in the same way, just faintly, barely noticeable. The chain of her jeweled monocle broke from its frame and fell to the dirt, its first link melted away. She suddenly stumbled away from the hearth and turned to face the crowd, eyes wide and breathing heavy. Thin welts had risen where metal met her face, fixing the glass to her eye. The aura around her began to recede. Rog wondered if he'd even seen it. Was it an illusion all along? Or had it always been a part of her? He couldn't tell anymore. She made an effort to stifle her shock and conjure an air of confidence before announcing, "You will all be killed if you stay here." This grim portent was met with confused silence. Muttering slowly broke out among fragments of the crew as they attempted to decipher the situation. Lady Wilclark insisted again with palpable impatience that everyone leave, and took an empowered stride toward the spectators. You of House Salus, a veritable beast of a man from the Aquinian countryside, countered her movement and bellowed, "I'm not going anywhere in the word of a witch!" Without waiting for a response, he dove forward and drew his rigging knife from his belt. Lady Wilclark defended herself by throwing the first thing her hand could find. The heavy leather-bound book she carried at her hips soared across the clearing and opened to the wind. Pages flapping loudly as whirls of multicolored light spilled from them to engulf you. Blood sprayed about what remained of the intrepid sailor as the book came to rest closed on the ground. Lady Wilclark stared at the man she had killed. Then her eyes shifted to Captain Jirax. Captain Jirax mirrored her gaze. Then he turned to the light, gently wavering inside the hearth. She bore a fearful expression, and so did he for an instant. Emotions flashed across the captain's face as fast as they could be observed. Fear became anger, then desire, realization, indecision. He stepped purposely toward the structure and extended his right hand into the igneous light. The blaze swelled, swallowing the captain's forearm, and the world held its breath for a fraction of a moment. Then the world exhaled, releasing a tempest of heat, wind, and illumination that knocked Captain Jirax on his back, along with anyone standing within a few paces. It faded to a mere gale as far back as Rog stood, but the blast still left him half blind and ears ringing. When his sight returned, he saw the captain sitting with his arm held before his face. It was a hand too short and ended in a black, smoking stump. Rog realized the ringing he heard had resolved into a scream rivaling the detonation that caused it. After the explosion, the crew of the Southern Light mutually decided it was against their best interests to stay within that cursed place. The thin beacon that brought them down had become a massive tower of light, radiating an unnatural heat that burned their eyes and turned their stomachs. A few didn't make it back to the airship before losing their lives to this sudden plague. It was relatively quick at least. Painless. Hopefully. Captain Jirax could barely walk himself, but he refused to be helped. As he shambled up the ladder, he ordered it drawn up so the witch couldn't board. She didn't try.